Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, Bitcoin is above 50,000 once again. The bears are losing. But I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering or asking this question, should you be buying Bitcoin at $50,000? Should you buy Bitcoin at 50,000? That is a very important question. So today I'm going to try to answer it and also talk about what else is going on in the world of crypto. So thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams almost every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest news, article, and guides on CryptosRUs.com. Welcome, guys. Today is Friday, I believe. These days, every day is like the same for me. Yes, it is Friday. So happy Friday, everyone. You know, we're getting a pretty good Friday right now. And you could see that Bitcoin is above $50,000 once again, 50,555. It was a little bit higher. It was at 51,000, right? So Bitcoin has clawed its way back above 50,000. So what is next? Are we heading higher, or are we going to stay here and come back down? I think you guys know my answer to that. Let me see, where are my awesome lines? There we go. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So you could see that this 49.5 has been a really a big battleground between bears and bulls, and the bears are just losing. I mean, there's just so many good things happening with Bitcoin right now. So as you can see, it's going higher and higher. And it seems like that battle's over at that 49.5. And if so, this weekend, today, tomorrow, Sunday, wow, we could see some tremendous movement upwards to $60,000. And that could be coming. That could be coming. And while that's happening too, look at the overall market cap. 2.3 trillion. I believe 2.4 was our previous high. So we're getting there. We're getting really close. And you could see Ethereum having a fantastic day. Almost back to $4,000. Cardano still, teasing that $3 mark. Of course, the project I've been talking about a lot. Solana keeps going higher. $143. About to make a new high. And others, like, hey, even Litecoin is joining in the fund today, up about 13%, and you have a very, very, very good day. Very good day. Now, before I get started and answer this very important question of whether you should buy Bitcoin at 50,000, I'd like to give you guys a subtle reminder that not everything you hear, even from rich and wealthy, influential people, is correct or should be trusted. And I'm talking about none other than Scott Miner, who is the managing partner and the chief investment officer and chairman of Guggenheim Investments. Basically, he's a top dog of Guggenheim, one of the biggest investment companies in the world. And this guy, being as influential, as rich as he is, you would figure that crypto and Bitcoin is not really on his mind, even though he has talked about how Guggenheim is looking to buy Bitcoin. But, let's just go back memory lane and, look at some of the tweets that he has posted not too long ago. Starting with June 17th, he did take a little bit of his time to remind the crypto world that crypto will continue to be volatile, but as a paradigm, it is the future. So that's fantastic. He's like, yes, Bitcoin and crypto is going to be volatile, but it's awesome because it's the future, right? And during that time is when he made some fantastic calls of Bitcoin going to like 50 or 60,000, 600,000 and stuff like that. But shortly afterwards, Bitcoin took a breather, and then you see here this next tweet, which is only like a week later, says look for more declines in crypto as Bitcoin breaks through support. Next likely support is 20,000. So, did a 180. I don't know why. Maybe he didn't buy enough, right? And then scrolling up a little bit more. Here we go, July 16th. As a technician's rule to remember with Bitcoin, every time a support level is tested, it becomes weaker. That means Bitcoin's That would mean support for 30,000 may soon fail. Another very bearish tweet. And then a few days later, he went on Bloomberg and gave this interview where and basically he said, you know what? Bitcoin is going to go through, it's in a bear market, it's going to go through like an 80% drop, which means Bitcoin will end up being at $15,000 or $10,000. Turned very, very, very bearish. And that was not too long ago, just a few months ago. And this was the time when Bitcoin was hovering around 28, 29,000, and everyone, all the fudders came out and started to paint this narrative that we're in another bear cycle and we're going to drop down 80%. And I told you guys to ignore that nonsense, okay? Doesn't matter who's telling you that, even the CIO of Guggenheim, right? Doesn't matter if he's telling you that. Bitcoin, you do not ever want to discount Bitcoin. You do not want to ever short Bitcoin. You just don't want to be negative. You just want to be positive about it because there's so much coming. It's so new. It's still so early, and there's just so much goodness that is going to come from Bitcoin. So I like to remind you guys of that hey, even you got guys like Scott Miner that may have spread a lot of FUD before. I told you guys, I encourage you guys to stay in the game. Congratulations for those of you guys that stood and picked up. Now, let's talk about this, right? So I can't take credit for this awesome headline. I stole it from Motley Fool, but this is a good question. I even saw it in the chat. Should you buy Bitcoin at 50,000? Recently, I've been having a lot of people ask me about Bitcoin. I've told you guys, I shared with you guys, again, some of my neighbors have opened up to me saying that they have been following me for a while. I've been buying Bitcoin and so forth. But I know a lot of you guys are new, right? You've been watching, or maybe now you're wondering, you're starting to feel the FOMO. Should you get in, right? So I'm going to try to answer this question. So if you look through this article, all right, why Bitcoin has been a great investment. Let's just start out with this, okay? Let's start out with this, some macroeconomics. So this is the US dollar versus Bitcoin. And we know that the US dollar has not been doing well in terms of retaining its value. Okay, when you have a dollar, and you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense, it's always dollar. What I mean by retaining value is buying power, purchasing power. So you could see 10 years ago, you could have bought over 12 million sats. 12 million. 5 years ago, that dropped to 167,000 sats. 1 year ago, it dropped to 8,847 sats. And today, $1 could buy you less than 2,000 sats. That's what I'm talking about. The buying power of the dollar has been decreasing over time, and that's due to inflation. And I don't have to remind you guys what has happened the last 2 years with the pandemic, with the monetary policies and the endless printing of the Federal Reserves from around the world, and that is still ongoing. So the circulating dollars have been exploding over the last few years. I mean, exploded like 30-40%. So number one, should you buy Bitcoin 50,000? If no other reason, I'd say yes, due to the fact that the dollar is losing its value, losing its buying power each and every day right in front of our eyes. And you compare it to anything else other than Bitcoin, any asset, it still holds true against real estate, against food, against electronics. I mean, everything has been getting more expensive, right? Have you thought about it? Yeah. So number one is I want to remind you guys that yes, inflation is a real thing, and just by holding a ton of dollars isn't always the smartest thing unless you're preparing for a correction. Now, this is the same reason why MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor decided to make such a big purchase and continues to buy and buy and buy, and now has over $5.3 billion worth of Bitcoin for the same reason. He had a large amount of cash sitting there, and Michael did not want to see the money buying power go to basically zero and depreciate substantially. It's the same reason why Tesla also bought in, Galaxy Digital, Square, Voyager Digital, Marathon Digital, Coinbase, HUD 8, and Coinbase recently announced they're going to buy a lot more. And you go down the list, on and on and on and on. It's the same reason why these companies have done the same and added Bitcoin to their balance sheet. So no, first and foremost, it's just a hedge against inflation. Now, the second thing, well, that's actually the first thing I want to bring up. But the first thing this article brought up, they made a comparison to tech giants like Amazon and Netflix, how they have revolutionized their niche. They're just, they become a household name. They've dominated their space, right? And they continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And it's the same thing with Bitcoin. You may be thinking, well, there's all these altcoins out there. You talk about Solana and Cardano all the time. What are you talking about? Bitcoin is not alone. It's not the biggest anymore. Well, it is still the biggest. But I like to remind you guys that Bitcoin is very different from all these altcoins, because Bitcoin, like I just got done saying, is a hedge against inflation, and also it's a store of value. Okay, there's a set supply, and there's just not much out there. As more and more people that wants to buy Bitcoin, it's going to cause the demand to go up. And when demand goes up and supply is decreasing with these halving events, well, that's why the price goes up. Everything else, pretty much outside of stable coins, which is meant to be stable against the dollar, pegged to the dollar, but everything else is more like a protocol. It's like a software. It's an application layer. It's meant to support new dApps, and most of them are dApps. They're very different than Bitcoin being a store of value and a hedge against inflation. So that's number two. So going with this theme, right? You got Amazon, who's the biggest, e-commerce retailer in the world. You got Netflix, the biggest streaming platform out there. Bitcoin is the biggest store of value when it comes to cryptocurrencies, and that's never going to change. I don't care how many people say, well, Litecoin is better. No, it's not better. It'll never be better than Bitcoin. In terms of store of value, Bitcoin is the biggest and will continue to stay the biggest, and that's why you want to bet on winners like Bitcoin, right? Also, if you look at something like the stock to flow, right, this also takes into account of the halving events, which happen every 4 years. The supply, the supply that gets released every 4 years gets cut in half. And the stock to flow measures that. It measures the total circulating Bitcoin out there versus the total supply. And that is why stock to flow and guys like Plan B, they made a name for themselves correlating, this model of Bitcoin's movement. And as you can see right now, we're in this light green area, right? Light green area, we're on our way up. We had a small dip, and you could see previous cycles, like here, we had a little dip in 2013, went up. 2017, there was smaller dips, but then it kept going up, right? And what is looking like it's happening right now is that, yes, we're getting that upswing, and we're going to break through this 100,000, and who knows where we will end up. I mean, you can see these past cycles, it certainly broke through the barrier of the expected price of Bitcoin. And this time around, we could be past 100,000, heading to $150,000, $200,000. And this is very, very nice. Another reason why you should be holding on to Bitcoin, and why you should be buying Bitcoin even at $50,000, because we are not at the tail end of this. We're still midway through. Well, I should say not midway, but still 3/4 of a way through. But there's still that 1/4, and that 1/4 is usually when you see the most tremendous gains, right? You look at all these previous times in the light green to the dark green. That's when Bitcoin makes its huge upward rise, the most bullish rise, and that is the phase we're going through right now. So again, another reason why you want to be holding Bitcoin, and if you're thinking about buying Bitcoin, yes, another reason for that. And Will, someone who also shares a lot of on-chain metrics, continue to share these fantastic metrics about for example, exchange flows and how Bitcoin reserves on exchanges keep dropping and dropping and dropping. And this is another reason why. Because accumulation has not stopped. Accumulation is still ongoing from the retail investors, which is starting to come in and FOMO in. It's obvious based on a lot of factors. But also because these companies I've showed you, right, they're not stopping. They're not stopping their purchases. In fact, they're all increasing. In fact, a lot of these mining companies have recently come out and said they're purchasing tens of thousands of more miners. Not only do they hold Bitcoin, but they're mining Bitcoin, and they keep spending more and more money because they know this is the future. They know that this is like a war. It's like a cold war to see who could accumulate the most Bitcoin, right? Maybe Cold War is not a good example, more like a gold rush, you know? So not only are these companies buying more and more, but they're also building up their infrastructure to support it too. So that is another reason why you should be buying and holding Bitcoin, because the buying is not stopping. It's still continuing, and it continues to go forward each and every day. And that is why I said at the beginning, it's still early. It's still very early. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this. Plan B, the creator of stock to flow for Bitcoin, he's looking at some technical indicators. Weekly RSI is 60. And the last time Bitcoin went down and climbed back up to 60 is when it went on a crazy 500% rise, right? And I've shown you guys this before, and I've shown you guys this, in fact, many, many times. Let's just go to the weekly. So what he's talking about, I'm going to zoom in here. And I showed you guys how right now is very similar to this time. And that is when MACD down here, I'll just zoom this out. You can see MACD was red over here and it turned green. After it turned green, Bitcoin went on a 550% run. And during that time, the very first rise, you could see it went up about 68, 70%. And that's exactly how much Bitcoin went up from its recent bottom, 28, to where it is now. And I even showed you guys there was a brief period where Bitcoin took a week to kind of, consolidate. And we had that week last week, and now we're starting to move forward. And if history is repeating itself, or even if it's similar, we could be seeing that tremendous rise up that breaks us past 60,000 and brings us much higher than that. It could be as high as 124% from our current levels, from this 50,000 level. That is tremendous. That's tremendous. So another reason why you should be buying Bitcoin is because even these technical indicators show that we're in a really good spot right now. We're in a really good spot. So there you go. So ultimately, should you buy Bitcoin at 50,000? In my opinion, and not financial advice, but in my opinion, I say yes. For those of you guys that already hold it, great. Take advantage of DCA, dollar cost averaging over long haul, or buy the dips, right? But for newcomers in the space, you're like, Bitcoin is too high. It's at 50,000. Is it worth taking the risk? In my opinion, yes. You just have to be careful about it. You have to minimize the risk. You don't go all in, right? People tend to go all in, and then they leverage, and then they do risky things, and that's not the right thing. So should you buy Bitcoin? Yes. If you're thinking about it, spread out your buy. You have $1,000, you have $500, you have $5,000. Doesn't matter. Spread it out, right? Take a little bit, take the dip, buy a little bit now, and then wait until we have another dip, right? Or wait until a set time interval, and then buy a little more, and then buy a little more, buy a little more. Do it like that. Protect yourself. That way, you're minimizing risk, right? So that is what you should do, in my opinion. Again, not financial advice, but that is what I have done, has done very well for me, and not only for Bitcoin, but also, of course, the altcoins out there, which is just on fire too. It's just on fire. There's no other way to say it. That's pretty much it. I did want to remind you guys that I did come out with a brand new Twitter just for news feeds. It's called CryptosRUs News Desk, at CRU News Desk. And I've started tweeting out some of these articles, but make sure you check it out if you want the latest news, articles, and guides, right? And you want a dedicated Twitter to follow, then do so, right? And there's one that's about Polkadot, how it's up 30% for this week, right? And there's many, many more like that. So make sure you follow it, and I'll tweet it again in case you guys want the latest news, articles, and guides. All right. Lastly, I do have a new sponsor for today, and it's one that is very relevant for a lot of you guys, and that is trading and DEXs. So today's sponsor is Unilayer, a project I covered before. They have changed quite dramatically. The reason why they're called Unilayer, because this is a layer, at least before, on top of Uniswap. And you guys know, or at least some of you guys know, Uniswap is the biggest AMM out there, and the interface is pretty much like this. And it's quite simple. It's quite simple, but Uniswap right now is limited for ERC20 tokens, right? And we know that fees are very, very, very high, and you're limited in what you can do. So this is what Uniswap looks like, and this is what Unilayer looks like. This is a full-fledged trading platform, right? Not only can you see a really good, useful list of all the tokens that are available for trade, you also get a nice graph that you can chart, but more importantly, you could set limit orders. You don't have to just do market orders. You could do limit orders just like a centralized exchange. That's the biggest advantage. And then on the side, you can see there's an order book, trade history, and you could see a few other useful information. So the thing is, though, they started out with just being on Uniswap, which is why they're called Unilayer. But now they're cross-chain. So if you click above, you could see that you can trade Binance Smart Chain and Polygon the same way. So they utilize many, many AMMs out there. In this case, they probably utilize PancakeSwap for this, but you could see that everything on Binance Smart Chain, you can trade the same way, right? In this very useful layer, that's why it's called layer, across multiple chains, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon V3, and they go add a few more down the road. But they've gone beyond just this. There's also a launchpad that they are coming out with. Also, you could do staking for their native token. And they decided to come out with an NFT game. So they're kind of following suit. You know, right now, NFT games are very, very, very hot, right? So they have a new one that's called Gia Everworld, I believe. I'm bad with names. But they have a whole trailer out there, and anyone that's holding the Unilayer token will get airdropped. It's that simple. You don't have to buy it. You're getting airdropped, and a snapshot will happen October 31st, right? So all this is on their Twitter. Make sure you follow them if you're interested. But more importantly, check out Unilayer. If you do a lot of trading, especially on Uniswap, and you want something that's just more robust and easier to use, check them out. It's all free. Everything is free. So check them out. URL is in the description of this video. All right, guys. Now let's do some Q&A. Someone asked me, Limited GIF asked me, George, what do you think about Binance going IPO next 3 years? Wouldn't this be a big news for BNB coin? Yes. Well, keep in mind, it's Binance.us, not Binance itself. Binance.us. They want to make it a legitimate Coinbase competitor, right? So that would be huge. That would be huge for them. But they do have this complication of having their own coin. So I don't know how that's going to be. Like Coinbase does not have their own coin, right? And several other exchanges don't have their own coin. So it's easier, I think, for them to go IPO. If Binance does, I don't know how that's going to be. But if they get it, that would be very, very bullish for them. Very bullish for them. All right, let's see. Bobby, I'm scrolling up a little bit. Bobby says, don't sleep on VeChain Polygon. Yes, that is true. I told you guys about, what, a week ago? That both VeChain and Matic, or Polygon, I should say, they haven't moved as much as their peers. Not nearly as much as, say, Terra or Solana, right? But they will get their day. And VeChain has been moving this week, right? You can see VeChain's up 20% this week. So they start to move. And that's because you have very, very promising NFT projects like VimWorld that's still executing, and Vims are getting popular. Same thing with VPunks are getting popular. And those are just tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more that's going on with VeChain. But they're starting to come up, right? But Matic has not yet. But both of these, I think, are very undervalued. In terms of protocols right now, I think you need to concentrate on protocols. Protocols is very, very important. That's where all these dApps live upon, right? So that is why. That is why you need to pay attention to them. Because everything that's being built is riding on top of them. Why is everyone talking about gold? Yes, Bitcoin is digital gold. Daniel says, irresponsibly long, that's how we roll. Yes. Yes. Although, it doesn't mean you have to be irresponsible, right? Like I said many times, make sure you have some cash on the side. Once Bitcoin breaks above 70 or hits break above 60, hits 70, I plan on taking 10% off the top, right? Basically taking profits. Make sure you have that cash on the side. That's always smart. You don't want to have too much cash on the side, because this is what's going to happen, right? But it's important to have some cash on the side in case there are corrections. It doesn't mean it's just with Bitcoin. It could be with the stocks or real estate or whatever, right? To have some of that cash on the side to be able to take advantage, I think that's important. So you don't have to be irresponsible. Just a little bit more risk, I guess. Is Altura a buy at the current price? I don't know too much about it, so I can't tell you. Sol flipped Doge. I missed that this morning. Wow. So Solana is now at number 7. Will they flip XRP in the near future? I think so. It's just a matter of time. Max. I don't know what project that is. It looks like you're part of the team. Veracity actually has been doing pretty well. I get asked about it all the time now. And that's probably because it has been doing well. But they're just doing a lot with esports right now. You just pay attention and look at it, right? They're all about esports right now, and they're getting involved very heavily with esports, and which is really, really, really hot right now. And look, you could stake for 25.5%. That's not bad either. That's not bad. But they're kind of like a layer, like a platform layer, that counts legit views. So I know they've been doing well. Still relatively small cap, so they have a future. Is Luna too high? No. I just got done saying, if Bitcoin is still worth buying at 50,000, none of the other altcoins are too high. Okay? That's because the market still has room to grow. It definitely has room to grow. I think most people are worried about the top that may be coming end of the year or early 2022, right? But in the grand scheme of things, you look out 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, everything right now is early. So early. And even right now, in the context of this cycle, I still think there's a lot more room to grow. So no, I don't think it's too late. Aave is one of the DeFi plays, right? Lending project, staking project. I think they're okay. WaxP, I think WaxP is a little undervalued. There's a lot of NFT games running on top of it, but I think their token economics with their like 5 different tokens is what's screwing them up. I don't know why. I don't even know what all the tokens do. It's very complicated. But there's 5 of them, and that could be holding them back. But there's a ton of NFT games that's right on top of Wax that's doing very well. You're taking profits to BTC or USDC? Of course, it's to like USDC, because if you take profits to BTC and BTC goes down, well, then that defeats the purpose. So when you take profits, it has to be something that's pegged to a dollar or the dollar itself. And if you think that if you're just selling to USDC and it's not a taxable event, that's wrong. Any trade is a taxable event if you're in the US. Just keep that in mind. Thoughts on EOS? Bullish exchange? No, I'm not bullish anything with EOS. I got tricked one too many times. EOS had its up and downs, right? I don't like the fact that voice seems to be like non-existent now. That was the big hyped up thing 2 years ago. How it's go destroy Facebook. It's gone nowhere. It never even came out of beta. And now they're working on some exchange they said they're going to pour billions into. That's nonsense. And we have many of them already. So I'm off the EOS bandwagon, unless they could really change themselves. And their whole block producers and collusion problems have never been fixed. Best place to stake ADA. There's many staking pools out there, but the one currently that I'm partnered with is Swag Stake Pool. So you can check them out. Harmony One just released their roadmap for the next 6 months. Trustless ETH Bridge, BTC Bridge, and Chainlink integration, name a few. Thoughts? I'm a big fan of Harmony. You guys know that. I supported them for quite some time. They have a lot going for them. So yes, fantastic. Why isn't AMP moving? I don't know. Why is it not sunny today? You know, sometimes things just happen, and sometimes coins don't move, and then sometimes they move quite a bit. So you just have to be patient. I do think AMP is a good project, though. Sometimes you just have to be patient. Have you done a deep dive into Tezos yet? I'm seeing massive adoption this month. I have started, but I'm not sold yet. I'm not sold 100%. So they're definitely one of the ones that's coming up, but there's a lot of protocols that's coming up. So it's hard to determine whether or not it's just because they're all kind of coming up at the same time, or there's something that's really making them stand out. For example, if you go down to top 50, at number 50, Near Protocols, also EVM compatible chain. That's been doing pretty well recently, right? And then you scroll up a little bit, you still have like the old guys like Neo, but then you also have like Kusama and Elron, which have done pretty well too, right? Tezo also has been doing well, but I don't know if it's just a temporary pump, but I know that they have been executing and have been adding a lot more to their ecosystem. IOTA too, which has been really doing well, really coming up. You can see the last 30 days really starting to come up, right? So right now, it's like the time of the protocols. So, JS Quad family. What about OMG? It's a layer 2. Layer 2s are not very popular these days. I mean, OMG is one of the biggest layer 2s for Ethereum, but there's so many. There's so many layer 2s, so it's really hard to differentiate. OMG Network rebranded to Boba Network. That's even worse. It was Omi's Go, and then they rebranded to OMG, and then they got bought out, and now they're calling it Boba Network. My stance is the same. There's too many layer 2s, so I don't know how they stand out from each other. Any news on VeChain? No, I talked about them. Nothing big recently. Nothing, earth-shattering. But there's just a whole bunch of usage is growing. Yesterday I covered a report how the VeChain Thor network has been up and operational for like a crazy amount of time. I forgot how long, but you know, it's just a matter of time. More dApps, more users, more usage, price goes up. It's that simple. Avalanche has been doing very well. Avalanche has been doing very well, and you know what? I looked more into them, and they seem like they're really legit. You know, I love their token economics, and I love how they're just executing, forming a lot of partnerships, especially the DeFi projects, which they really didn't have a lot of. But now they have a ton of DeFi projects that's coming aboard and working with them. They got the liquid mining going, and there's more coming. So I like Avalanche now too. Yeah, speaking of VPunks, the base price for VPunk is like almost $3,000 now. It's kind of crazy. So they're starting to catch on fire too. Fennel, Philadelphia. Well, 60K is coming. I don't know if it's going to come this weekend, but it could. If the bulls continue to push and the bears give in, let's see what the liquidations is like today. Where's my liquidation one? I think this one. Yeah, right here. Yeah, you could see the green is the shorts being liquidated. So it's starting to rise more and more, right? And if it keeps going, there's going to be more short squeezes and it's going to drive things higher. So if it continues, keeps going, this weekend we could see some crazy movement for Bitcoin. Yeah, we're closing in. We're pretty close to our all-time high for market cap. So it's like 2.4 something. So if this weekend continues to do really well, we're going to set a new market cap high. That's pretty darn good and pretty amazing. Ryan asked, should you buy OMI or ADA? It depends on how much you have of each. I can't tell. If you don't have much of, say, OMI, then go with OMI. If you don't have much of ADA, then go. Or just split it. Just split it. That's the easiest way to do it. What else? Do you think ETH burning could be seen as manipulation by SEC and place Ethereum under regulation again? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. It's an interesting thought, but I don't think so. It's more of a utility than anything. Speaking of new protocols, is it time to talk about Partisia yet? Do you see their potential? They sound very familiar. It doesn't even come up. Yeah. Okay, so I guess the answer is no. They're so new, it doesn't even come up. So probably not. Although they sound very familiar. I think I may have done a segment with them before. Hello from Turkey. Can you talk Matic? I've already talked Matic. Just hang in there. Be patient. That's all I can say about it. Are you excited for Zilliqa's future? Not excited. Not excited. I just think that they will continue to do well. They're one of the promising blockchains that was from back in 2017, right? So they're still executing. How you could tell is if they continue to be active on Twitter, and you could see this. So if you want to know if something's promising, go on their Twitter, go on their Medium blog, and check out how active they are, and look at not just announcements, but also what they're doing, right? The projects that's coming on board, the projects they're partnering up with, features and roadmap that is coming. I know Zilliqa is not big into roadmaps. They don't like the pressure of having a roadmap, but they continue to do well and execute. So I think they'll be fine in the future. Also, do you think ETH will be more of a wealthiest person choice for smart contract considering fees? No, because that's what they're fixing. And if they can't fix it, people will move to Cardano or Solana or VeChain. So no, it won't be. It's just like that right now because OpenSea is so popular in the DeFi projects, but eventually that will change. Smart Atlas. Did I show up? What is this? I don't think this is it. It's way too small of a market cap. Do you see Bondling being able to come back after a hack with the Cardano partnership? It's deep red. I don't know. I don't know if they can. And you know, sometimes these projects just make a connection or make a partnership to try to lift itself up, but you know, it doesn't always work, right? So this Cardano partnership, I don't know if that's going to work or not. So I've never been into that project, so I can't say. 1,000 on Ethereum, Cardano, split it. I think Cardano will have a bigger potential, but with Ethereum 2.0 around the corner, end of the year or beginning of 2021, 2022, you don't want to sleep on Ethereum either. Do you know what's going on in SoulSeed Go Live? Stuck? No, I don't. Happy birthday, Jason J. Diesel. Happy birthday, man. Rafa, Phantom, no, I have not looked at an ICO. I missed news about PwC Airtrace using VeChain. Huge news. I guess I did. I didn't see that. All right. I think that's pretty much it. You know, overall, pretty darn good day. Pretty darn good day. Bitcoin is above 50,000. Broke through this important resistance. And let's see if we can hold that. If the bears just keep getting slaughtered, especially this weekend, and the bulls continue to just like, you know, drive this gravy train forward, you know, we're going to see some big movements this weekend, especially with lower volume. We could definitely see Bitcoin make some huge moves towards 60,000 this weekend. But ultimately, if it doesn't, should you buy Bitcoin 50,000? In my opinion, yes, because I do think there's so much more to it. There's more that's coming for this cycle. There's also many reasons like, you don't want to lose your money buying power. It's a hedge against inflation. It's the biggest store of value, right? The on-chain metrics show growing adoption. And all the institutions and public traded companies and retail investors continue to buy it. Those are all the reasons why I think, yes, even at 50,000 is worth buying. Of course, you want to be responsible. You don't want to just go all in. Sprout your buys, DCA, right? But I do think we're going to go much higher. But not financial advice. All right, guys, that's it. I'm not going to stream tonight. You know, Friday night's my off night, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully at the same time. Follow me on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on Twitter because this weekend I am moving around, so I may have scheduling issues. So make sure you follow me on Twitter so you get notified of what's going on. All right? I don't like Singularity.net. I don't like AI plays. All right. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.